Hello and welcome to Vyas, India's higher education channel. I am Ramesh Menon. I have been a journalist for 3 decades now and I have worked across print, television and the internet. I have really enjoyed writing all along and feel uncomfortable if I do not write something every day. But one has to constantly strive towards being creative so as to not only attract attention of the reader, but to keep them hooked till the very end. Many of us have this strange feeling that we cannot write. Let me begin by requesting you to banish the thought. All of us can write. We just have to try very hard to get there. After all, there is no magic to it. Believe me, it's quite easy. All it requires is some determination and mastering of some techniques that will help you bloom as a writer. Today, let us discuss creativity in writing, as this is something that we journalists have to do for the rest of our lives. To begin with, let us look at how to start writing. Can only the gifted write? There is nothing like this. All of us have creativity within us, but we mostly brush it aside thinking that only the gifted are creative. Have you ever seen a child who is not creative? They are always thinking of unique ways of doing things. They think so originally, their actions are so genuine. We also were creative when we were children, but when we grew up, we started behaving like adults, got into typical patterns of behavior and were not ready to experiment. We opted for easy and safe options. One of the things we need to do first is to bring back the innocence of childhood, the ability to think independently and the courage to experiment. Once we do this, we will be creative.
When we talk about creativity and writing, most people have a problem about how to begin writing. There are several methods which can be used for writing. One of the methods is streams of consciousness writing, where you just take a piece of paper or your computer or laptop and you just begin writing whatever comes to your mind continuously for 3 minutes non-stop without thinking about what you're going to be writing about. And then when you stop, you usually manage to reread and get ideas from whatever you've written. It could be just a sentence which strikes you as perhaps the beginning of a plot which you could start writing about, or the idea which comes through which from this writing. Perhaps you could also use something like what we use visual prompts. You look at a photograph and you use that visual as a starting point for beginning your writing. This works very well because visual prompts are really helpful. You could pick up perhaps just a color from the image, or a character from that image which interests you, or you could pick up something in the background which interests you. This usually works very well. Then we have things like when we just listen to a piece of music perhaps, or you watch a movie. The ideas are everywhere. It's all around us in our lives. We have to just be more observant, more keen about seeing how people act, how people behave, what the stories of their lives are. We have a story everywhere. So if we are looking as a writer to find those stories, we will definitely get them.
Creativity is not the ability to dance, sing or write. Creativity is what you bring to your work. You can walk creatively, you can think creatively, you can listen creatively. You can even sweep the floor in a creative way. It may help, however, to remember these points. You can write only if you trust your creative skills. You can write only if you want to learn. It will take you years, but start today. If you are serious about writing, start today. The earlier you start practicing, the better. Do not look at it as an assignment or a punishment. Instead, see it as an opportunity to express yourself, tell something to the world. Look at it as fun, not as something that needs to be done. With a bright, positive attitude towards writing, you will relax and your creative juices will flow. Enjoy your writing and you will see how proud you are of what you do. write every day. This discipline must be inculcated as you learn to write by writing. Practice is the key. The best thing about writing every day is that it will force you to think of new ideas, concepts and ways of saying something. We all have ideas, but our problem is that we cannot put it down in words. When you write every day, you will learn how to marry words and ideas. You will watch how you are evolving, improving and fine tuning your mind. The greatest reward of writing is enjoyment and deep satisfaction at having created something that will stand the test of time. But to succeed, you need self-discipline and perseverance. Successful writers do not wait for inspiration. They just start writing. Try to write every day. Make it a part of your daily routine if you want to learn the craft.
It's very essential to have your own style, your own unique way of writing. But as a beginning writer, the first thing which you have to keep in mind is that you have to have passion, you have to have commitment, you have to have discipline, and you have to be a dreamer. So you have to have all these things, and you have to take the time out to do your writing, however busy you may be. If you are a writer who's committed to your craft, who's committed to your talent, who's committed to your art, and who feels that you need to write, that you have a story to tell the world, then you have to put it down on paper or you have to put it down on the computer. There's one more thing I want to tell you all is that it is not enough to write. You have to put it out in the world, because if you are going to write it and put it in your drawer, then nobody will have the time or the opportunity to read your writing or share your thoughts the way you want to share them with the world.
The ideas, the inspiration to write and the motivation must come from within. As you start writing, your brain warms up and the ideas flow. Even if the writing is mediocre, carry on, as you can always polish it later. To write well, you need to understand the subject and so should have background material on subjects that you want to write in. Keep clippings of interesting, well-written articles. It will help if you read them before you write anything on the subject. Keep looking at them once in a while to give you ideas and inspire you. Slowly increase the number of files depending on the topics on which you want to build background material. You are actually creating a library of ideas and information. Look at life as a writer. View life as a writer. All experiences, whether happy, sad, frustrating or tragic, should be seen as potential material for use. It is valuable to note these experiences, good and bad, and all the facets of human emotions for possible future use. Keenly observe the amazing tapestry of life. Every day, sharpen your imagination by writing something that gets triggered off by something that you saw. Use your imagination to expand it further. Most young journalists today are obsessed with opinions they have and not facts. But journalistic writing needs facts and not opinions. Then there are others who concentrate more on the writing style rather than facts. Editors want facts, not opinions. If you want to do opinion writing, you'll just have to grow older. Just have some patience. We all have our prejudices, but in journalism, there is absolutely no room for it. As journalists, we do not belong to any group, any community, any caste or religion. We are journalists first and last. We should be interested in reporting the facts as it is, without any prejudice or even taking your sides. Let your mind explore all shades and colors of opinion. When we start writing, most of us are tempted to use complicated words thinking that it will impress the reader. Have you ever seen anyone running to a dictionary to check a word while reading? Very few ever do that. So, it is best to be simple. After all, as writers, we are communicators. Our aim should be to communicate an idea to the largest segment possible. Nothing can do it as well as simple, straight writing. You will find that it is powerful when it is simple. Most of us write long sentences as we keep linking one sentence to another. The longer the sentence, the more difficult it will be for the reader to understand. Go in for short, sharp sentences. Initially, it will be difficult to write short sentences, but it will come in easily with practice. Short sentences catch the reader's attention. It is also the modern style of writing. A lot of journalism students complain that they find it extremely difficult to write short sentences. There is a simple solution you can employ. Just put a full stop and start again. The more you read, the better will be your writing. Your vocabulary will grow. You will be able to use your imagination better, and your style of writing will also improve with reading. But read good literature and not the cheap books that are so popular today that have no literary value. Read good fiction and see how it immediately impacts the style and flow of your writing.
As a writer, there are certain do's and don'ts which you have to keep in mind. The first is that please write and please read, because you have to be a reader in order to be a writer. Once you start writing, send your work out to editors and publishers. When you're sending work out, read the submission guidelines carefully, read what the editor wants, read whether you're writing to the right genre, sending your work out to the right magazine or to the right journal or the right anthology, because there are different kinds of writing and there are different kind of demands and there are different kind of wants and the different kind of readers.
The more observant you are, the better you will write. You can then write graphically, painting a word picture of what you want the reader to see. The best writers in the world have all been very keen observers of life around them. If you are observant, you will see a lot of things that the others do not. Observe the world around you. Take mental notes. Empathy and sympathy is not the same thing. If you tell me that this program is very boring and I feel bad for you as you are watching it, then it is sympathy. But if I imagine that I am a viewer like you and experience how it feels to watch a boring television program, then it is empathy. It is not easy to be empathetic, but when you keep trying to get into others' shoes and feel from deep within, it becomes a part of your personality. Empathetic writers churn out powerful, touching copy. Reach out to people, soak in their experiences. The more you interact with people, the better you become. If you are a person who likes being alone, then you must try and cultivate traits that make you meet more and more people, as interaction with them will give you ideas to write on. When you are working on a feature, try to think logically. Organize your thoughts in such a way that they logically follow each other. Our mind does not automatically do so, so it is best to write thoughts as they come in a random fashion. Then again write down the points, but this time in a logical manner. Then it becomes easy to write. One way to catch people's attention is to target unusual subjects. Look out for ideas and subjects out of the ordinary. For example, like a female taxi driver, or a village that does not lock doors as there have been no robberies, or a young 8-year-old student who can solve complicated maths problems without using a single piece of paper. Such stories are never forgotten. Writing becomes very easy when you have people talking, doing something, or even being described. Get people into your writing, quote them, profile them. They give character to your work. Remember, readers are interested in people. find out unusual ways to tell a story. In today's age and time, when the span of attention is getting shorter and shorter, we need to think of creative ways on how to write features and interviews and profiles. Maybe you could try the first person technique of narration, or you could tell the story through the eyes of one person. Maybe you could even personalize it. Try different techniques to beat the stereotype. If you want to make a living out of writing, you must give it as much attention and commitment as you would give if you were training to be a doctor or an architect. Cultivate a broad outlook. Read widely, especially quality newspapers, magazines and fiction. It will improve your vocabulary and the quality of your writing. While writing features, interviews, profiles or even news reports, take care when writing the first para. It has to be very well written, as it will determine whether the article you have written will be read or not. There are numerous styles you could pick up to write the first para. Let us look at some of them. The summary lead. What you do here is to summarize the article in the first para. The advantage is that readers know what the article is about, and the disadvantage is that if they know the summary, they may not bother to read the rest. The narrative lead. Here you could use the narrative technique of writing. It could be quite gripping. It is also very readable. The descriptive lead. This reads almost like the narrative. To write a descriptive lead requires sharp observation skills. Once you capture images with the lens of your eye, you can store it in your mind and then recall it while writing graphically. The quotation lead. This is easy to do, but use it only if you have a striking quotation, or it must be of a well-known personality. The question lead. You could start with a question. This can help hold attention as the reader reads on, wanting to know the answer. The direct address lead. Just as the name suggests, the direct address lead means that you start addressing the reader directly. You can use personalized words like you, we and us to build a bond with the reader. The combination lead. This means a combination of two or more intros or lead types combining together to form the first para. For example, you could combine a summary intro with a question intro and make it into one lead. Most aspiring writers write too much. We have to learn to write tightly. Cut out redundancy. Do not repeat ideas or words. Cut it down to bare essentials. Cutting is a part of good writing. Study the style of the publication that you are writing for. Read the piece carefully. Spot the mistakes. If readers spot the mistakes, it will ruin your credibility. Reorganize the material if this helps to condense while retaining important points. See if it concludes well, as the conclusion is as important as the beginning. Have pictures that tell the story. You could try out some of the guidelines and tips that we have discussed today on creative writing. Once you get into the flow of writing, it is addictive. When you master it, it will be quite enjoyable. Start writing today and try out different styles of presentation and writing. See you again very soon on Vyas, India's educational channel that aims at making learning both easy and enjoyable. Goodbye and best of luck.